This podcast is sponsored by the Tollington Arms on Hornsey Road, a bubbly pub with a Thai kitchen home to thousands of Arsenal fans every season. Open daily from noon.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Gooner Ramble podcast. We are back after a little sojourn. We took a week off. We were pretty bored of what was going on, so we thought we'd let it all pass, and we'll come back after this, the Southampton, West Ham and Newcastle games, 3 winnable games as everyone was saying. We'll come back with renewed vigor. We'll be talking about 4-0s and 5-0s and, you know, lovely football and expansive football and Wenger ball again, and here we are. And here I am. As you can hear, I'm here with the one and only Gooner. Welcome back, Warren. How you doing, mate? You alright?
I'm good, mate. I'm very good. Thanks for having us on, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. You left me on my lonesome on Saturday, didn't you?
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, you know.
It's a real rarity for me. I couldn't lie, but I had to shoot off and really make a dash for it. But I made the training time anyway for the Christmas do. So.
Good stuff.
But yeah.
I hope it was a better time than was it at Emirates. Bloody hell.
Well, I'm surprised I didn't have to wake you up as I went past your seat, mate.
Right, so let's kick it off. You were at the West Ham game up at the London Stadium or the preceding Wednesday. That followed on hot on the heels of the draw at Southampton, which we really kind of got away with. West Ham, tell me about it. Was
frustrating, quite dull, quite boring. Not really sort of the exciting, fast, attacking, aggressive football that we saw definitely in games like against Tottenham and that, but we were pretty dismal, to be fair, mate, weren't we? And during the game we created very little chances. It just weren't right. It just really was not right, and it was freezing cold. It's a dreadful stadium. For anyone who's been there will know it really is uninspiring. The atmosphere is non-existent. Like, even the away end, the lower tier and the upper tier are basically in different stadiums. Yeah, it's just such a difficult ground to get an atmosphere going in, and really on the pitch there was nothing too inspiring to get either set of fans sort of really going, was there?
Indeed. I mean, they had the chance really late on, which Chicharito hit the bar with, but I mean, aside from that, we didn't really create too much. I think Jack had a chance, did he? Am I remembering right? He blazed it over?
Yeah, he blazed one over, but really, I mean, to look at it and say we created a real good, clear cut, I mean, it just weren't one of them games, and we were really struggling to sort of do anything. It was quite surprising, but you'd expect us to. I know West Ham got a good result, they're winning that game 1-0, but realistically, we should have turned up and done a number on them. But after drawing at Southampton as well, it's sort of become even more important to get a result there, I thought, but I mean, we avoided defeat and we kept a clean sheet, I suppose, but yeah.
One of the positives to come out of the game was Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and he started again on Saturday, didn't he? I mean, what did you make of the lineup? I mean, there's only one change from the West Ham game, with who came in from the West Ham game? There was one change. I know. Lacazette, wasn't it? Yeah.
Back in for Giroud, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah. One change. You happy with what you saw? I mean, as you got the lineup.
It's a bit alarming, really, because he seems, for some reason, he persisted so long with his 3 at the back, and then I mean, obviously we've had injuries and things, but it's almost as if he's reverted back to type, and it was sort of a throwback to a couple of seasons ago where we was inverted wingers, heavily relying on the fullbacks to provide any sort of width. It becomes a very, very dangerous game to play when you've only got 2 centre-backs and then you're looking at your midfield and you're saying Granit Xhaka, and it just seems that everything goes from sort of having structure and being solid to playing a bit of game of chess, really, because the amount, I mean, Alex Iwobi and Alexis Sanchez, they're both ball hungry, they both want to come inside, they both want to be involved in the game all the time, but it really, really depreciates our ability to break teams down and create so many chances. And I mean, it just frustrates me. And it's great to see young lads like Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and we all know that he's a central midfielder who spent his time on loan at right wing, and he's learning the game still, and he's learning it on the job. But it's brilliant to see a young lad perform how he is. But as I say, with the reliance on Bellerin, real heavy reliance on Bellerin and Maitland-Niles to provide an attacking outlet, it's sort of, it is a bit of a dangerous game to play, because if we get caught, then teams are going to counter us. And luckily, I mean, realistically, West Ham and Newcastle, neither of them had much of a punch about them, to be fair. So I wouldn't like to see us
less
do
of
that.
a punch, though, didn't they? I
Yeah.
mean, they weren't really up to much for most of the game, were they?
I wouldn't want to see us play this way of approaching the game against Liverpool, because the wings are where they're going to be lightning. We know how fast they are. We know they're good onto transition. And if we are relying on Maitland-Niles and Bellerin to provide the width and the outlets, as soon as we lose possession, we are in deep trouble. So I hope he doesn't continue with it. But yeah, I mean, it made us a bit toothless, I thought. Maybe it was because it was been such a long time since we had played the four, and players are adapting again, or maybe it just
I do
great.
think it was a composition. I wasn't so worried about the formation. As we were saying before and during the game, like, the lack of width was really alarming. And we're seeing Mesut Ozil playing a new kind of role now. He's playing a lot deeper, a lot more central, which means that going forward, Bellerin doesn't really have a natural kind of partner out on the right, does he?
No, exactly.
You're saying that, Iwobi loves to come in and tuck in. And he was almost playing Ozil's former role, but not really kind of getting out so much and helping Bellerin on the right, but sort of like tucking in and, trying to play that sort of number 10 role, connecting and whatnot. And I just felt that Bellerin once again kind of didn't have many outlets, wasn't given lots of great angles to run into. And credit to Newcastle, they'd done exactly what West Ham had done. They blocked the middles, gave us the wide areas, because they knew we weren't really going to do much in the wide areas, and they just put obstacles in the right areas so that most of the balls that were coming in were blocked or intercepted or something or whatever, and it was kind of sterile, wasn't it? It was really sterile for
we're finding it very difficult, but like we were saying when we were there, I mean, the amount of time just seeing Mesut Ozil pop up on the left wing, the right wing, like you said, he's playing the number 8 role, he's deeper. He had a fantastic game, but it's frustrating seeing him in them areas because of his footballing IQ and his intelligence. He naturally goes where the space is. And for me, if you're finding the space out there, Mesut Ozil ain't going to damage teams from them areas. That's not where you want him. Like, again, I mean, I remember the other season, he put in the most crosses in the Premier League, Mesut Ozil, and that was down to the way that we were sort of not having any sort of retention of width. He's going wide to find them areas, and obviously he's trying to do the damage from them parts of the pitch. But finally, I mean, we will go on to when we go on to the goal, but that was, I loved the way we created the goal, and we did actually. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk through it.
Let's go for it. Yeah,
I mean, the middle of the park, the triangle, absolutely brilliant triangle between. I was watching it again earlier, and Xhaka plays a lovely intricate ball the outside his foot into Ozil, and Ozil's first time into Wilshere, and there's 3 little passes there in a triangle that completely bypasses Newcastle midfield. And for once, Jack looked up, he had the ball, and he done one of his drives, and he looked out to his right, and Alex Iwobi had really brilliantly and intelligently retained his width. He's put a fantastic ball back across. Jack just wasn't quite get on the end of it. He goes all the way through, but there's so much more space there because we retain the width. And when you see our right winger stay wide, cross the ball, and it goes across the whole box to our left winger, who's retained his width, and then he's coming onto the strike, hits it well, Alexis, it gets blocked, and he battles for the second ball. But my God, that I mean, we was the angle we had was absolutely perfect, weren't it, mate?
Yeah.
It was literally, you couldn't have sat more in line with a strike, and the way it just dipped and arced, and the way he adjusts his body and how he sees that, he can see it happening like seconds before he even. It's just mesmerising.
Do you know what reminded me of? I was watching. I think Hangover came on last night, and when Zach, whatever his name is, has to go back to the casino table. And you see him computing whatnot. And that's the vision I've got of Ozil.
Yeah, all the numbers coming up.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? The ball's coming back. He's taking 2 or 3 steps back because he knows that's where the ball, he anticipates somehow.
Yeah.
Perception, I don't know what perception, anticipation, I'm not sure how he sensed that the ball would drop in that area. And then, as you said, the strike was, somebody said it was a Bergkamp-esque, or Zidane-esque, actually.
It weren't just to control the ball from that from the ball dropping from that height to even be able to control it, let alone hit it with the venom that he did. And it dipped and it was just perfect. I mean, I remember on the highlights, I see the commentator was saying, when you hit the ball like that, it doesn't need to go in the corner of the net because you ain't saving it no matter what, because it was so true and so perfect. And how many times have we seen Mesut Ozil and say, put your foot through the ball, mate? And when you see him do that, you wonder why he don't do it more often.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was just a brilliant goal. And again, it came from finally just switching the game up. It doesn't matter if you come in quite often, but you have to have a bit of variation in your play.
And pace in the play. And
pace, exactly, mate. That's what I was saying about that little triangle. The Xhaka with the outside of the football to Ozil. First time passing to Jack, then we've sprung and we've gone. And then with the width, it means that Jack can spread the ball quickly. It goes wide. Iwobi brilliantly. Great fizz back across the box. And like you said, the pace and the width is what damages these teams. And we've seen it time and time again earlier on in the season with Kolasinac getting a lot of joy with Xhaka with the quick passes wide. And that's what we need to do more of at Arsenal, because West Ham game, we was just not interested whatsoever in retaining any sort of width. And Alexis sometimes gets sucked into the game. He tries far too hard. And it just shows you, if we just relax and play with a bit more structure and a bit more width. And like you said, it's not about the formation. It's about the way you play within the formation for me. And the variation is fine coming inside, like I said, but it's nice to see us get wide and get fast. And that's when we really do damage teams. And to be fair, we did create quite a few chances the other day, but we weren't on top form, were we? But
I think we had 5 shots on target out of 20.
Yeah, and it's key moments like that. Look, but luckily, I mean, Mesut was in sensational form.
And I think you just touching on the point you said, we create a lot. I mean, I'm sure, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm sure, chance creation wise, we're still up there. But conversion, it's a real worry. I know we beat Everton 5-2, and I think that's the last big win we've had, actually, isn't it? In the league, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like it's you said, the conversion is a worry, yeah. Well, I think the key man, I mean, the one we always look to for these numbers is Alexis. And realistically, at this stage of the season, especially every season he's been at the club, he's been way ahead with numbers than he is at the moment. And I was looking the other day, and his conversion rate's down at about 12%, which is astonishing, really. Like, for someone of his ability, normally be looking low 20s, sort of 20%. Yeah. But these at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be rattling into the back of the net. But it's fine when you're winning the game and you get away with it, because you will have games where the chances just don't go in. But you want to see players like Lacazette. Yeah, it is. And the confidence, to see the doubt starts to set into the mind, and you just hope that they get a goal. But it'll come again. And I'm not at all worried about Alexander Lacazette. We know he had a few chances, but I'll let you go on.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it on Saturday, and and I was saying that I just feel he's a bit off form in front of goal. I mean, every other part of his game, brilliant, can't fall in. Link up, work rate, intelligence, movement. There was even times on Saturday where his footwork, his little intricate footwork was open, making space for him to make a nice little pass to his fellow man. The runs, the movement, it's all there. Everything else is there, except the quality of his finishing. He's been skying a few. I think he skied one at Burnley or Southampton. He skied one on Saturday again. And I'm just wondering, show a little bit more composure, I suppose. I suppose is what I'm trying to say. Because we don't really have many. I mean, I looked at the goal scoring charts. It's him with 8, and then you've got Alexis and Giroud with 4. Now, Giroud's been playing off the bench. Alexis has been indifferent. We're not really aiding him. We're not really alleviating him of the burden, which means if no one else is really alleviating him of the burden, we need him to be on form, which is, okay, he's a £52 million striker, and that's what we bought him for. But I mean, that's the kind of level we're looking at now. You got the onus is on you. That's why we're buying you.
Yeah.
If Alexis or Giroud or Walcott's not playing or Ramsey can't play, you're the man that we've got, who's supposed to be the one that's supposed to be knocking in the goals. And as you
you're
said,
the go-to guy, yeah.
As you said, I mean, he will come back. He's got too much quality not to come back. But I just do wonder, we don't really have many options that really can help him out or alleviate the burden or take the stress off of him. I know Peter Cech, I don't know if you read today, Peter Cech was saying in the paper that, he's a quality striker. And he even said that what the team has to do is understand how he moves, because his movement, we don't make the right pass at the right time. He's always on the move, but we don't always make it. And we've all said it. We've all seen it, haven't we, Was?
Yeah, mate, his movement is sensational. And like you were saying earlier, every single other aspect of his game at the moment is really, really top notch. But like you're saying, maybe snatching at a few chances, the wrong shot selection, that kind of chip. Considering the sort of form in front of goal he is in, it just shows the stature of the player to even attempt that when you're on such a form. But you do think to yourself, just put your foot through that and smash it in the bottom corner across the keeper. But he doesn't seem to me the kind of guy that is going to get. He just goes again, if you know what I mean. I don't think he's going to go into his shell.
No, he won't hide.
He will constantly make runs. He will constantly show for the ball. He's never going to stop doing that, and that's a really good thing. So I think, like you said, I think the reason it's getting noticed a bit at the moment is because of the lack of goals from elsewhere on the pitch, and especially when we're playing deep set teams and you look from midfield and Xhaka and Wilshere are not renowned as goal scorers, and you're looking wide. Alex Iwobi, Alexis is the only other guy, but again, he's not banging them in this season. So yeah, you're spot on with your sort of analysis of him being the go-to guy, but I'm not too worried about his form in front of goal, and I think sooner rather than later he'll start banging them in again. Maybe it needs a nice little penalty or something like that just to get the ball rolling, get in the back of the net again, and these chances will start being converted again, mate, I think.
Yeah, he needs a Danny Welbeck moment, like one off his shoulder or one off his back or one off his backside or something, you know what I mean? Something to get him going. What did you think of the midfield three then? A lot of people, on Saturday, a lot of people, from what I could tell afterwards, a lot of people were blaming Xhaka. Saying that, he needs to be dropped. I've been critical of him. You well know that I don't think he's a defensive midfielder, but for much of the game, I didn't really find much fault with his defensive side. I think it was just late in the game, he was a bit sloppy with a couple of passes, which again comes from, I just don't think he switched on defensively, but for the main part, I thought he was alright. I wasn't looking at his game and thinking, no, actually, he's a real problem. I don't know what you thought.
I completely agree with you. I think the thing with Granit Xhaka at the moment is every little pass like that is polarised because people are under the assumption he's out of form. And I actually thought he had a good game. I was getting a lot of stick for it. That's fine. And I can understand why people didn't think he did. But then when Xhaka's on top form and when he's playing well, he still has these moments, but they get ignored because the rest of his game is so good. But again, he's up there with 100 odd passes. And like you said, defensively, I thought he had a good game. He reads the game quite well.
Covered Maitland-Niles, didn't he? Covered Maitland-Niles.
Yeah, covered Maitland-Niles on quite a few occasions. That block, he got back into the middle of the box in the second half and done that block where it went just wide, but his body was in front and he got there. And he has had a lot of good contributions, but it's difficult for Xhaka, and he's the kind of guy that I think with his body size and the way he is, everything's polarised, because if he's slightly late into a tackle, it looks like he's 3 hours too late. If he misplaces a pass, it looks like it's absolutely woeful. And he just, I'm not too worried about Granit Xhaka, and I'm a massive, massive fan of his, and I do like him, and I wouldn't even consider dropping him. I've seen people saying about putting Maitland-Niles in there, and I think you would notice he's the kind of player that you would notice if he'd gone. You would notice a lot more that we do need someone like Xhaka in there, and just I like little things he does, like in the build up to the goal, for instance. It'll be ignored, but the little intricate pass, the choice of pass with the outside of the foot to beat the Newcastle midfield, they're the kind of things that when, for instance, you've got Coquelin or someone there, he's not going to provide you that. So there is a bit of a risk and reward sort of look at it with Granit Xhaka in there, but I think at the moment he's being critically analysed, a bit harsh, and the same with Hector Bellerin as well, because I thought when you look back at the game, he was involved in absolutely everything that we've done pretty much in the first half. He was very, very, very good in the game. He was unlucky not to score, and he did have some moments. And yes, he is wasteful at times, but again, there's a huge reliance on him, and a sort of huge reliance on Granit Xhaka. And I think these are the players, we don't want to be killing these players. They've got huge futures ahead of them. They're all at a good age, and I just think they're sort of the latest boo boys at the moment. But yeah, Xhaka's had better games. I mean, his pass completion was lower than normal. It's down about 82%. Yeah. So I mean, that is that's strange for Granit Xhaka. That's
especially against a low block team as well that weren't really challenging the middle areas.
Exactly. But also what I don't think helps, and like I was talking about earlier with the width. I mean, it's 9 times out of 10 when he gets the ball and looks up, there's nothing out there. There really is nothing out there, and unless the fullbacks have gone, he can't play that quick sprayed pass, and then his brain starts thinking. Then he gets caught, or he makes a rash pass in the centre of the park. And I think he's so much better, Granit Xhaka, when it's natural and he doesn't think about things, and that comes with the way the team's set up. Because if you've got players hugging the touchline and like where we play the 3 and the 2 fullbacks, we saw it so often with the early switch of the ball. But yeah, I don't want to bully Xhaka too much at the moment. Yes, he isn't at top form, and he does need to improve on certain aspects of his game, but I don't think he's been anywhere near as bad as the stick he's getting at the moment.
And Jack, I mean, I know on Saturday you weren't really, you didn't really think Jack had done much, but I just wonder, is it because, okay, look, we've got Ozil who's running the game from all quarters. He's doing the Cazorla role. He's doing the Ramsey role. He's absolutely, he's playing a winger. He's playing every role possible, every outfield role possible. He's playing it. You've got Xhaka who's sweeping up defensively, spraying the wide, keep switching the point of attack. What was Jack's role? I was thinking, is it because he's still working his way back up to Premier League kind of fitness sharpness? He's only had one 90-minute game. The rest of the games have been Europa League. The level of competition's a lot less intense. It's the second game. You're playing a team where they're sitting in a low block. They're sitting in a low block in areas that he likes to operate. So maybe, he's not driving as he's not driving the play as much as we'd like. Or what I'm wondering is it because he's lacking Premier League sharpness, or is it a case of he had no real role? He didn't really sort of influence the game as we come to expect. I'm wondering which one do you see as?
I kind of felt that he changed it. It was more of an El Neni performance for me. It was a bit of a water carrier. He was getting the ball and playing the ball quick, but I do feel that them areas of the pitch that he likes to burst into were completely saturated by our own players, if you know what I mean. Well, we know Lacazette likes to drop deep and he does brilliantly at it, and then he drops deep and then he'll spin and go in behind. But when he's coming in and Alexis is coming in and Alex Iwobi's coming in, and you've got Mesut Ozil, like you said, being forced to run the channels and to find space, I think it's difficult for Jack to utilise that first. And like you said, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, really, because Xhaka's always going to sit in there and be the distributor. And like you said, it's very difficult for him, but you just have to look at the goal where he did have them yards of space to burst into, and he took 3 big strides with his touches with his left foot, sprayed a brilliant pass out wide because the space was there, and that's the kind of area of the pitch that we seem to. It's almost like we're tactically putting ourselves out of the game, and it really frustrates me. And I just think Jack, it was a bit of both, really. I think at times I wanted a bit more from him, and especially in the final third, and we saw with his chance, he done brilliantly to hold his position, and Giroud had it down superbly, but you got to score there, Jack. I'm afraid, like, you really do have to put that away, and it's straight at the keeper from sort of 6 yards out. But we know he's got it in him, and I'm not saying I absolutely love Jack Wilshere. I'm delighted to see him back in an Arsenal shirt. I've been an advocate of it for a long, long time, and I never wanted him to go out on loan last season, and I'm just really, really happy he's getting back and getting game time. But again, I think that it would have been, Aaron Ramsey is a far more aggressive attacking central midfielder, but I think he would have struggled big time to find space at the weekend because we sort of stifled ourselves, and until we did get wide like Iwobi did and Alexis did, and that one moment where Jack can burst and utilise all his qualities, and we saw it happen, and it was good to see. And like you said, I think Jack, he just needs more game time, and the more he gets, the better he'll get, and the more confident he'll get, because before his previous injury, he was banging goals in for fun. He really was starting to score, wasn't he? And scoring a few for England, and he scored quite a few nice goals for us, and he's got it in his locker, and we know he can do absolutely everything. So again, I think it's a bit more down to sort of the way we approach the game rather than Jack himself. But there were times where I did think, say for instance, that missed chance, and there was a couple of other occasions where you think, come on Jack, go on mate, and then it just didn't quite happen for him. But yeah, he needs time, mate. He definitely needs time, and again, he's working his way back in, and everyone to a man loves him at the club. So,
indeed, do you see him signing a new deal, or do you think? I mean, because Wenger and him both said that they're kind of they both seem quite relaxed about it. Or they'll speak at the end of the year or the turn of the year and see where they are. But I mean, what's your feeling?
It's hard, isn't it? It's really tough. I mean, the whole contract situation is quite alarming for me with any player that is running low, because if Arsene Wenger has only got a year left anyway, I mean, what player's going to commit 4 or 5 year future without knowing that the future plans of the club? And it's alarming, really. We was in this scenario 2 years ago before Wenger signed the deal again, and we knew, he's only going to sign 2 more years, and it's just all a bit. But fingers crossed, I hope Jack does sign. I'd love him to sign. We need Ramsey to sign. We need Jack to sign. We need Mesut Ozil to sign. And when Alexis, if anyone we can keep, as unlikely as it is, we need to keep them, because they're all top players. But it depends what Jack really wants, because he's getting a run in the team at the moment, but it's more by other players being injured rather than creation. But again, it's down to him now to prove that he is the man to start week in, week out in our midfield. So I don't know if Jack will sign a new deal. Personally, I think he might want to leave to play as much football as he can, especially with the way his career's gone so far. But it's down to Wenger to convince him that he's got a big role to play at this club, and hopefully we do keep him.
Coming back to Bellerin, you said that people were having a go. Do you think some people, do you see their argument though? Do you see some people's argument in that, he's not quite the player he was last season, and he is struggling. Okay, the formation or the way we're playing doesn't help. But do you think there is an issue with Bellerin in terms of he's just not playing as well as he has been in the past?
Yeah, he's 100%. His form's dipped. It definitely has dipped, and there's no denying that. We can see that. But I think there's a number of reasons, and you hit the nail on the head earlier when you were talking about the partnerships. And I think Hector Bellerin is a partnership man. He thrives and he loves playing off of and with someone. I mean, we saw that Theo Walcott and Hector Bellerin for quite a few months had a great thing going on, didn't they? And he just looked the part. And at the moment, he's very, very isolated out there, and the whole right side is literally down to Hector Bellerin. And don't get me wrong, his cross selection is poor at times. He panics in the final third, but again, I think this is down to confidence rather than the ability of the player. And Hector Bellerin is going to be a superstar for years to come, and for me, there's no question with that. Yes, he's having a dip in form at the moment, but he's still so raw. He's still at such a young age, and he's still developing. And I think he's a class act. I do think that maybe sometimes he needs to be taken out of the limelight, because he's playing every minute of every game, and we've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles now who's pushing on the door. Why not rotate him? Why not say, look, Hector, you have a rest this week, mate. Because you can't ask him to play every minute of every game, especially when you're struggling for form, and you see it, especially with certain players react differently to it. And I think Bellerin's one of them guys that he tries too hard. He almost tries too hard. He's getting in the right areas. He's doing all the right things, but then he's losing possession because he's trying to play the killer pass because he feels like he has to make an impact on the game. Whereas when he's at his best, it all just comes naturally, a bit like Xhaka. I mean, it's just something that he does without thinking. And Bellerin's a top player. He really is. And yes, he is struggling for form, but again, I think he's very isolated, and I don't like it when he's left. There's no crowd scenes. I mean, earlier on in the season where we saw him playing well, and in certain games where we were breaking sides down, you had Ozil out there with him, and there was like Lacazette, Ozil and Bellerin all playing intricate football, and then the ball would move to Xhaka, we'd spray the pass across the pitch and it would look good. But now, I mean, especially at West Ham and Burnley, I mean, he's on a pitch of his own at times. He really is. And because he's so fast, people think, oh, Bellerin, get the ball and run 100 mile an hour down the wing. Like, football doesn't really work like that. And I just think he needs a bit more support out there. And it is a bit of a worry, his form. But again, this is where Wenger needs to either make a decision to support him a bit more and get someone to help him, or you take him out of the limelight for a couple of games and play Maitland-Niles and get Kolasinac back in there. So I think he just needs a bit of man management there and gain his confidence back, because he's definitely, again, another player that we should not be shooting down, because he is our future.
I mean, the next game is Liverpool, so it's very difficult to see
huge game
rested for that.
No.
But after that, you've got Crystal Palace away on the 28th, and then West Brom away on the 31st. So one of those two games, I would say, maybe we can look at maybe bringing Ainsley Maitland-Niles in on the right, because he's the only one really physically and physiologically that can sort of replicate anything that things that we expect from Bellerin, and that has to go in hand with either having Kolasinac back on the left of a 3 or a 5 or whatever you want to call it, or a 4. We don't know what's happened to him. Has he got a groin injury? Is he out of form? Or is Wenger trying to protect him? I'm not sure. But if Kolasinac comes back, and I'm sure he's got to come back, he's got to be eyeing a comeback for Liverpool. Got to be eyeing a comeback for the Liverpool game, and I think after that, I think we got to look at maybe giving Hector a bit of a breather over the end of the year games, and so on. Kolasinac, Wenger did say he is the future. He loves him. His attacking and defensive capabilities. He's great at one-to-one in the one-on-one situations. And he still says, and he says that, his recovery is really good. He's recovering quite well now from whatever niggle he's got. But Wenger did also say that, there's still a lot to learn. Obviously there's a lot to learn. He's just come into the league. He's a young left back. He's 24. Nothing to worry about there. It's just first season jitters. Everyone has first season jitters, didn't they, Was?
Of course they do, mate. And again, we're talking about Lacazette earlier, and how difficult must it be for him as well? And we expect so much of these players these days, and rightly so. They're top class athletes. They're professional footballers, and they're really good at their game. And Kolasinac form definitely dipped as well. His pass completion was extremely low. He weren't getting in the positions. But again, I think it was more down to a way of change of the way we were playing rather than him. And there's been a few. I don't know, Wenger's probably just easing him into the league, and if he has got niggles and things, that's fine. But again, he needs to get the rotation right, and he needs to do it with the right players. And if he chooses to play in a 4, when Mustafi's back and Chambers and Holding, and we've got options, I'd rather see Monreal sort of rotated with him on the left. Yeah, exactly. If we're going to go in a 4, and play Maitland-Niles on his more natural foot. And for me, then you've got a rotation for Bellerin, you've got a rotation for Kolasinac in both and a 5, because when Mustafi is fit, and you've got Koscielny, Mustafi, I don't see why you can't play Chambers or Holding in a 3 and have Nacho as a left wing back as well, because it's just about getting the rotation right and looking after our players, because far too often I feel that Arsenal struggles to utilise the squad correctly, and he ends up burning players out, not just physically, mentally as well. And they're sort of getting stuck in a rut, and at the moment we're seeing Bellerin and Xhaka and players are getting a bit of stick, and fans are getting on their back a bit, and you can feel it in the ground. You can sort of, they must be able to feed off of it as well, and it ain't good for anyone. So I just want him to get that rotation right, and hopefully when we get Mustafi back in, and we do see a bit of that. But I think Wenger's got his heart set on Monreal being a full-time centre-back now, so I'm not sure he will ever play him on the left again. Here
we go. All right, so looking ahead, we've got the Carling Cup game. I just want him to play the kids, to be honest with you. I think Maitland-Niles has sort of like separated himself from that band. I think he's definitely first team squad, he's a first team squad player now, I think. And his versatility definitely will come in handy. Any qualms from you? I mean, what would you want to see on Tuesday?
It's a real difficult one, isn't it? Because the games come thick and fast, but you're one game away from a semi-final, and if we can just scrape through and we get a 2-legged tie and a chance to get to the final, I mean, you're not going to sniff down at that, but definitely it's a difficult one for Wenger. And is he going to go with Kolasinac and Bellerin on Friday? Because then Maitland-Niles will definitely start. But I'd like to see him play central midfield. I would like to see him play, and I would like to see him start in the heart of that midfield. But okay, I just don't have a clue what he's going to do. And I think West Ham will be up for it, and I don't see why they shouldn't be playing a full squad. They got a good result, didn't they, at the weekend, and they're going to be buzzing. And obviously they held us to a draw and beat Chelsea. So the things are starting to look up for them somehow with David Moyes in charge. I don't know how, but it is. But I mean, it's a good opportunity for them.
They're running a lot more.
Yes, mate, they are, and he's getting a lot more out of their players. And it's the kind of game where West Ham will fancy it. They really will fancy it, and they'll think, look, if Arsenal, they know we're going to have a rotated side. They know it's going to be a weaker team, and if they turn up and get at us, there's a good chance they can win. And I really do want to go through, and I hope we do. But it's going to be very, very difficult tie, especially with the kind of team he's going to put out. But you can't blame Wenger for putting a weakened team out, especially playing Liverpool on Friday. I mean, the league's so tight at the moment, and every point is so vital over this Christmas period. And unfortunately, with injuries at the moment to Mustafi and Ramsey and people like that, we're gonna
Ramsey out till January now, isn't
he? That's what I mean, and that's a killer. They're 3 massive weeks again, and it's a real bit of a blow there. But
touch and go whether he comes back for Chelsea, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a big game, but again, I mean, fingers crossed. If Jack can stay fit during that time, there's no guarantees he'll be back in the team. Do you know what I mean? Because if Jack gets to full fitness, it is a massive opportunity, and we all hope that he takes it. And as much as I love Aaron Ramsey and I want him straight back in the team, if Jack continues to improve and he starts putting away those chances and he continues with a burst, then you're not taking him out of the team. But it'd be nice to see Xhaka and Jack sort of make a partnership, because Xhaka and Ramsey started to show that they really did have a good partnership going, and they sort of positionally understood what was happening, and things started working. But we want to see just a bit more partnerships all over the pitch, and I think we'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow I'm not expecting too much. Again, it'll be a difficult night, but it's always a good night in the League Cup. A lot of people go who don't often get the chance to go to the Arsenal, and there's £10 tickets and £5 for children. So it's one of those nights. The atmosphere is always good because people just enjoy it. So unfortunately I'm working, so I can't go. But everyone, hopefully they have a good time, and hopefully we go through. But I'm a bit sceptical, really, mate.
Before we go to the Liverpool game, a couple of contract things going on. People have getting a bit hysterical about Arsenal social media account over the last 24, 48 hours. They're posting a lot of Ozil stuff, and people were wondering, are they teasing us? Is there an imminent announcement to be made about Ozil? I mean, how do you see it? I mean, do you think people are just they're wanting it too much? They're reaching, they're clutching, or do you think
Christmas Day, wouldn't it? It'll be Christmas Day announcement, wouldn't it? That's what they'll do. Christmas morning, they'll announce Ozil's contract. Probably. But yeah, I mean, I'd love him to sign. We'd all love him to sign, and we was talking the other day. I mean, we think this guy can easily go on for another 4 or 5 years, probably at the top level. I really do. I mean, he's 29 now. I don't see why he can't. Players like Xavi and Iniesta have proved that if you can adapt your game, there's no stopping you at the highest level. And I think, as you're saying rightly, we see Mesut drop deeper and deeper, but I'll tell you what, he covers some ground still. He really does cover ground, and he physically doesn't look like he's wavering. And he's one of them guys that he's very intelligent with the way he uses his energy. And Mesut Ozil is the kind of bloke that, like I say, he will be able to go on, touch wood, barring any injuries, for a good. I mean, I don't see why he couldn't make the next World Cup. Yeah. Like if he continues the way he is at the moment. But we
were talking in the week, weren't we? I mean, he could easily evolve into that. David Silva or Kevin De Bruyne role easily. I mean, you can see even now. There's the first steps,
signs of it.
The signs of it.
Yeah. His mate Xhaka. I mean, like for instance, the goal the other day. He dropped into that little number 8 role, took the ball off of Xhaka's little pass through to him, and his first time released to Jack, and we're gone. We've sprung, and he's almost switched positions with Jack there, and it works. It really does work, and but he's just such an intelligent footballer. He really is the kind of guy that I think would be. At 50 years old, you'd play football with him and he'd still be absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? And we all hope he signs. And
the thing is, how I see it is, if he doesn't do it here, he'll do it somewhere else, and we'll see him evolve into that role.
Yeah, and it will be. He won't be at Fenerbahce or something like that. He'll be at a top club. It really will, because he's still got so much to offer. And I just hope it is here, mate, because not just for us keeping Mesut Ozil, for us signing prospective signings and attracting people to this club. You need people like Mesut Ozil. You really, really do need people like Mesut Ozil at the club, because, I mean, I know he took the plunge and come to Arsenal, but it was the right time in his career, and it was a big move, and they were promised the earth and all this, and it hasn't quite worked out. But
a great standard player, a great figurehead to roll out, isn't it?
Of course it is, mate. Yeah, and if you're Alexander Lacazette signing for Arsenal, thinking, blimey, I'm going to be playing in front of probably one of the best creative footballers in the world, and like even the other day, he's playing a lot deeper and he's all over the shop, but he created 8 chances. I mean, it's just that astonishing numbers, astonishing.
They just help. This kid Chucky Lozano at PSV, apparently Arsenal are weighing up a 46 to 48 million euro bid. Obviously as an alternative to Alexis Sanchez if he does leave in January. Do you see? I mean, Wenger's adamant that no one's leaving. Do you believe him? And do you know anything about Chucky Lozano?
Very little. I've seen a bit of him, but nothing too major, just clips really. But I mean, it's a big claim to suggest that he could replace Alexis Sanchez's output. But I mean, if Alexis does leave, and he is struggling for Formula One, and we all know he's a world-class footballer. He's unbelievable on his day, and even the other day he put 2 of those curled balls in, one of them to Giroud for the knockdown, and the other one's Bellerin in the first half of the first where he volleyed it over. But he's persistent, he works hard, he keeps trying, and he's just it's not quite clicking for him at the moment, and his numbers are showing that. But I don't want to lose him in January, but if he does go and we do replace him, and even if it is someone like Lozano and it is a bit of a risk, I'm not so against that, as long as the club are attempting to do it. If we were to let him go and try and rely on Walcott and Iwobi, then nah, I'm sorry, that is just... But I think Arsene Wenger's convinced himself that the player's not going to leave, but I also think he done that in the summer, and realistically, just because Lamar, we all know what happened with the Lamar deal, Alexis would have been gone to City, and we all know that. We all know that was the case, and he has stayed, and Wenger sort of, he's convinced himself, I think, in his own mind that the player is not leaving, but we know how quickly things change in football, and if a real offer does come in, you're looking at 30 million for a player that is going to leave for nothing in 6 months' time, and you can sort of spend that money on Lozano and take a risk, then why not?
Indeed, I think I agree. I mean, if moves are being made to sign him early in January, we've got to be also conversely making moves to bring in a replacement. Because as you said, to countenance letting him go and not bringing somebody else in that can replace the goals and assists. Looking at the paucity that's coming from the rest of the players, some of the options in our squad would be criminal. Otherwise, let him run his contract down for free and then, just take the hit. We should have done it last summer. Didn't. There you are. Mikel Arteta. Now, last week, Tony Cascarino, in his column in the Times, he said that Arsenal will be foolish not to look at Mikel Arteta as Arsene Wenger's successor. He's getting a load of experience working as number 2 to Pep Guardiola. And obviously he's understanding the workings of what Guardiola's in mind. Now the Telegraph, courtesy of Matt Law, have come out and said that Arsenal could well be looking to consider Arteta as Wenger's successor. What do you think of that?
I think he fits the bill. I think he's a very, very classy guy. I think his football intelligence is superb. He's another guy that prolonged his career by dropping himself deeper. And I really do like Mikel Arteta, and my God, he's learning off the best manager in the world, the best. And you saw people like Jose Mourinho, who was at Barcelona under Bobby Robson and things like that. They're learning and they pick it up very quick. And these guys, with the intelligence that they have, it doesn't take long to sort of suck it in, and they'll be full of ideas, and he's going through all his coaching and all that. But yeah, I wouldn't be against someone like Mikel Arteta, because although it is a risk, but whoever we employ is going to be a risk, isn't it? Gee, I'm not being funny. I mean, you could go out and get Carlo Ancelotti with the career that he's had and the backdrop and everything, and it just might not fit the bill. Like he went sour at Bayern Munich because of a number of reasons, but it could be a masterstroke getting Mikel Arteta in, and he would certainly be a candidate for a long-term position as well. I mean, you could look at Mikel Arteta and you could say, look, we're going to invest a 5-year contract in this guy. We're going to give him his opportunity. We're going to go in and realistically, I mean, can it get any worse than it is at the moment? I'm not sure.
Let me ask you this then. It's almost like saying you've got a youth team player who's coming up, or a kid in the 23s is showing great signs of promise, and you're saying, okay, we're going to sell this player, this really experienced player, we're going to put you in, and we're going to give you the opportunity, the space, the environment to make your mistakes and get it right and whatnot. Do you think Arsenal as a club are in a position where they can allow someone like Arteta to make mistakes and learn on the job like that? I mean, wouldn't you rather have somebody with a little bit more experience, at least somebody who's got sort of continental experience as a head coach, or would you like? I mean, you've obviously said that you kind of like the idea, so. But I mean,
I do, yeah. I mean, you only have to look at what Pep Guardiola's done in his career in such a short space of time at such a young age. And I think, like we're saying, you do make great points there, mate, about it being a risk. But I think he's got to the stage at Arsenal where I'm so bored. I'm just generally so bored of the situation. It's not even like all the when he was doing all the protests and all that was going on. It was a feeling of sort of not anger, but I was upset. I was boiling up inside, but now I'm just so fed up of it. Yeah, it's almost as if I'm like, it's such a replication. There's repetition, and when I see performances like against West Ham where we're playing inverted wingers again and 4 at the back, and we've got a young centre mid who's playing left back, and I'm just thinking, yeah, I've seen all this before, and like it just, I'd rather take the plunge, mate. And I think that the board are brave enough and interested enough? No, I mean, I'm worried about who we've got to appoint a manager, and I think Gazidis is probably our only hope at the club. But we are installing these guys from all over Europe. We've got the guy from Dortmund and Barcelona and so and so. So I'm hoping that Gazidis and the boys are getting these kind of guys in, and they're gonna really aid our next level of manager. And if Arteta does come in, he's going to need someone like that technical director of football to help him, because that side of management is going to be something that he's never experienced, if you know what I mean. It's one thing coaching players and doing all this, but there's a complete other side to it, and he will need help in that aspect. So maybe we are gearing up for someone who is maybe a bit of a risk, but he knows the club inside out, Mikel Arteta. He's club captain for years. He's such a, I just like his aura. I like the way he is, and I think he commands respect. And yes, it is a massive risk, and it would be a risk, but like I said, I'm so bored of things that I'm willing to take the plunge now. I really am. I'm willing to try.
The struggle is really boring. All right, so quickly, finally, Liverpool on Friday. Who would you like to see? Have you thought anything about who you'd like to see line up for us?
Oh, it's a very, very difficult. I want to revert back to the 3. I do. I want to see
numbers.
I do, and I think that. I mean, it's a big blow, Mustafi not quite being fit.
Do you think he's not going to be ready for Friday?
If he is ready, then I'll be more than happy to throw him back in, and it'll be Koscielny, Mustafi, Monreal for me, and then I would go Bellerin and Kolasinac as well as Maitland-Niles played the last couple of games. I just think it's a bit of a different ball game from playing against West Ham and Newcastle to playing against Mo Salah. I think you're going to need. I've got no doubts about Maitland-Niles' physicality and his ability to run off the ball and things like that, but you've got to be so switched on, and you really can't make a mistake. And I know Kolasinac's been out of form, but I just think he's a bit more experienced, and I want to see us pushing them back more. I want us to be brave, and if we do play the 3 and the 2 wing backs, I want us to take control of the game with the wing backs, and not do what we done against United and allow them to dominate. I know we had so much possession, but we weren't utilising our wing backs correctly, and against Liverpool, I just want to see us be on top. So I think again I'd go Xhaka, Jack, Mesut and Alexis behind Lacazette, and I think that is our strongest team, and I hope that Wenger does that. But it's just a bit, the last couple of games he's changed to the 4, isn't he? And I'm just really not sure that he's sure that he wants either formation, and it hopefully we're not at a bit of crossroads, because it's definitely going to be a bloody exciting game, isn't it? And the pace, and we know that Liverpool have got 2 sides to them. They're very Jekyll and Hyde, and hopefully we get the one that can't defend for anything and gives away goals for fun, and Lovren's bloody awful, and their fullbacks have a mare, but we know they're dangerous. They're very dangerous on the counter, and
they've got their Fab Four, as they call them, haven't they?
They have, and I'm very, very, very scared that Arsene Wenger's going to play a 4. He's going to have the narrow inverted wingers with Iwobi and Alexis coming in and tucking inside, and we're going to be asking Bellerin to bomb on, and I'll tell you what, Liverpool do win the ball back, and when they win it back, they spring. They spring like no team in the league at the moment. They're, apart from City, obviously, they're absolutely phenomenal, but Liverpool are probably the closest thing to replicate what City are doing at the moment, and realistically, if Klopp could sort that bloody defence out, they would be a very, very good side, mate. They would, because of the firepower they've got. But again, we just need to be on our game and replicate a performance that we've done against Spurs, because when we play with that intensity, that tempo, we move the ball that well, we get it across the pitch, the width, the power. Lacazette, he's going to be on form, and it's going to be Friday night before Christmas, every man and his dog's down for have a few beers, aren't they? And it's going to be a cracking game, and it's the kind of ones we live for. But I'm very, very worried that that Arsenal is going to stick with a 4 and try and rely on these fullbacks to provide the width against Liverpool, and I think we'll get caught out big time. But hopefully he goes back. For me, I mean, a lot of people might want to keep the 4 and maybe go 4-3-3 or something like that, but I just think that because he hasn't tried this formation like the 4-3-3, I think it's a massive risk to do it against a team like Liverpool. But I'm not too sure what he's going to do, mate.
Yeah, you made a good point about Tottenham. The 4-1 over at Wembley. Tottenham gave Liverpool the ball, and Tottenham became the counter-attacking team, and it's pretty much like us versus Tottenham, actually. Liverpool, give Liverpool the ball, they all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And if we're good enough and we're on our game enough, we can take advantage of it. My only issue is Liverpool, they run hard and they've got athletes, they've got runners, and they will run for 90 minutes of the game. I just wonder, can we keep pace with them? Is it a case of us, as you say, going back to the 3, having your 2 wing backs and creating partnerships, maybe missing out the middle third somewhat, but obviously with someone like Wiltshire in there, he'll want to get on the ball, so maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll play through thirds, I'm not sure. But maybe we kind of give them a bit more of the ball and hit them on the counter, hit them on transition a bit more. Maybe that is.
Because we've been so possession based lately, so possession based. It's frightening the numbers we've got, but that's the thing. It's becoming just like it was before, where teams would just let us have the ball because we're crap football. We're sideways, it's monotonous, it's slow. We've got no penetration. Then Alexis is forced to try a wonder pass, and he gives the ball away again. And Xhaka's got no width, and Wilshire's got no room to operate in, and we kind of kill ourselves. And hopefully we go back to. I mean, Spurs. We basically missed the middle of the park out, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And we just got round them, and and they couldn't deal with it. They just didn't know what to do. They were baffled, and that is the kind of performance we're going to need. We need to get players like Salah and Mane and Firmino heading back towards their own goal. But like you say, we could play it the other way and try and hit them, because it'll be a very, very interesting game. But Wenger has got to really going to earn his money. But it's a huge victory for either side, because I mean that would really, really boost Liverpool, wouldn't it, to come to the Emirates and win? And for us, it would show in that we'd be back in the top 4 and we're in there. Get one back over them, and it's a huge 3 points. So, especially with the way the game went at Anfield. So,
indeed, let's hope. Okay, all right. Well, let's bring it to a close here. Well, thank you for coming on, mate. Good to speak to you again.
Man,
good seeing you the other day as well.
Yeah, loved it, mate.
See you on Friday, probably.
Will do. Certainly will.
Good man. All right. And that's been a Good Around podcast. Catch us on all the platforms: YouTube, iTunes, Acast, all the Androids. Give us a like. Send us some comments. Subscribe. Hit the rate button. I've been your host, Giles. That's been Was the Gooner. Catch us again as we review the Arsenal Liverpool game. That's been Good Ramble. I've been your host. Good night. Up your Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.
This podcast is sponsored by the Tollington Arms on Hornsey Road, a bubbly pub with a Thai kitchen, home to thousands of Arsenal fans every season. Open daily from noon.